But Akers he's got a big leg.
Drills it, and it's off the crossbar and through. Wide open man. Flicked into the end zone by Jerome Simpson. Oh, goodness.
And Westbrook stops at the 1 and goes down to a knee. Why would he do that? That's crazy.
All right, hello MHA owners. Thanks for tuning in to the 6th podcast of the 2016 season. We're at the quarter mark of the regular season. This is the first time we've gotten together since the post-draft show. I'm Eric Lansing, and joining me on the program are my usual partners in crime, Mikey Renault, the owner of the 2-2 Hot Tamales. Mikey, what's up? And give me something that, it could be anything, that just stands out about the season, whether you hate your team, you love your team, you have a cool stat, or someone's performance. Just throw something out there for me.
Well, I don't hate my team. I don't like my team. I'm 2-2, which is average, which I'm not used to.
Not used to being average, all right. Average Tamales. Usually it's average Eric, but it's average Tamales today. Also joining us, of course, is the owner of the 1-3 Butterfingers, Todd Diamond. Todd, what grinds your gears about this season so far?
Well, thank God I'm not 0-4 because I think I'd have been like, yep, you might as well just start coming up with names for my team. But, 1-3 and the good thing is there's not an undefeated team so far in our league, so everybody's kind of average, for the most part. I mean, yeah, there's a couple people that are 3-1, but other than that, season's not over yet.
It's not over yet. And that groan you just heard was our special guest on the show, Aaron Renault, the owner of the now 3-1, the last team undefeated, now joins us, and he knows why, because he's sitting next to the gentleman who beat him this week. But Aaron, hey, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Tears were shed.
Yes.
Were shed.
I don't know if it gets better than, we watched the Sunday night game for the most part, the Monday night game, and it came down to those few little points. You wore your Vikings kind of hat or beanie, whatever that is.
It's a nice wool hat.
Because he had Stephon Diggs this week, and he just couldn't get you enough points.
He couldn't get me jack shit. So, but that's all right because I'm still 3-1. That's pretty good. That's better than I was last year. So
all right, we're going to talk about our teams so we can get into what we like about our teams, what we really hate about the teams. The things I'm going to say, I'm not going to even mention about my team, but just Julio Jones. 300 yards. There was a cornerback that got cut today or fired, whatever you want to call it. But how does that happen? How does someone quarterbacks don't even throw? There's a lot of quarterbacks that didn't even throw 300 yards. There's a receiver. How does that happen? I didn't get to see the game. I just saw the highlights, and dude was balling. No double teams. He was knocking these short corners out of the way. Anybody got an excuse? I mean, is he just that good?
No, Ben Wickery had an excuse. He said he was tired.
Tired.
Wow. Tired. Wow, we're only in game 4, right? At that point, he's already... if then he needs to be fired because he's the one who got fired, right?
Yes.
So if you're tired already.
Tired from what?
Chasing Julio. I don't know. He's still in his nightmares right now, let me tell you. That is absurd.
I think even Julio told him, dude, what are you doing? If you're going to do this single coverage, crap, I'm just going to burn you every single time.
But that can't be his fault.
It's got to be coaching at that
point.
Yeah,
at that point, okay, he burned you the first 10 times. I mean, he had 150 yards at halftime. At that point, don't you adjust the safety over? Don't you actually put 2 corners on him and I don't even know, once Mohamed Sanu was injured, right? I don't even know who the second wide receiver is, and he's still getting open.
A good coach
should be fired.
Your weaknesses, and a glaring one. By the time you're up to 150, it's about time to kind of adjust your coaching scheme. Yeah,
that is crazy.
Well, and to quote, and we were talking about Josh Norman, I think had the best quote so far of the season. You get what you pay for.
That was pretty good shade. I had some really good quote there by Josh Norman.
He was just drinking some tea from Twitter. That's all he was doing.
Because if Norman was still there, he would at least kind of try to stop.
It'd be 150, maybe not 300, but still.
Exactly, yeah.
I just want to bring that up because it's when you see that's video game numbers, and it's only happened, 4 times that someone's been over 300 yards, so.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the same thing I told you when I texted you about. I'm glad I didn't play him this week, and I played him the week before, where I think he had 3 catches maybe or something.
Yeah. Kevin was definitely happy he owns them, and he put on the Facebook message on our account, yeah, I'm glad to be having Julio Jones right now because he was really concerned about his team. And when you get 33 points out of one dude, that's pretty good.
Really good. Really good.
That made up for his bad Buccaneers week, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, for sure. So we have a lot to discuss on this show. We'll gab about how the teams in our league are doing. 4 weeks into the season, the panel will discuss the MVPs, the least valuable players, and, of course, the state of running backs in the NFL. There's so many injuries out there, and Aaron's got his hands up. He probably does have the best core of running backs in this league.
There's no problem on that.
And speaking of running backs, Todd, Mikey, and I will talk about our love, hate, and sleeper list that we developed earlier in the season to see how wrong we were or how right we were. And finally, we'll talk about the standings in our league. And I'm going to throw out some trivia. I know I didn't put this on your guys' list, but maybe you know if you did any homework. But time for some MHA trivia.
Hey, who wants to have some fun? I do. Now, you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
I really want to have fun. I'm just saying I want to have some fun.
And so it's going to be real quick. It's not going to take too long. But do you guys know which tight end is the top scoring tight end in the league?
Greg Olsen.
Greg Olsen.
Delaney Walker.
Shit, I have no idea.
Aaron has no idea. Well, I mean, it's a tough one, but, I mean, you are correct. It is Greg Olsen. He's got 54 points, 17 of those. Aaron's still a little upset that he had 17 in the last, 2 minutes of that game?
Yeah,
he had
it
zero for a
took
good
me the
portion of that
time
game
of
last
washing
week.
dishes for him to go from 0 to 17. That's what happened on Sunday afternoon.
That was definitely strange. I was looking at my phone. I was out covering soccer. I was like, 0 points. This isn't right. And then I came back, wow, 17. Where'd that come from? But, I mean, just the state of tight ends, we won't go too deep into it, but Jordan Reed had a monster game last weekend. He's second at 50. Kyle Rudolph is actually third. Travis Kelce is fourth. Zach Miller fifth. Tammy, Cameron Brate, Ebron, Martellus Bennett, Jack Doyle, and Jimmy Graham.
Also, fuck Jack Doyle.
Yes.
Jack Doyle.
Doyle does not rule, in my opinion.
No, but I mean, you talk about guys like Kobe Fleener who were drafted, Gary Barnage, Dwayne Allen, Julius Thomas, Rob Gronkowski, the tight end. I'm excited to have Greg Olsen. We traded with Todd, and we'll talk about that trade later on in the show. But, I mean, wow, tight ends. I mean, you have Julius Thomas. I mean, what do people do? There's no one out there to even grab anymore. You could play matchups, but even then.
Use your other tight end because he's injured all the time.
Who is injured all the time?
Julius Thomas.
Julius Thomas is even that injured. I know he's on a bye this week, so you won't have him. But he played in 3 of the 4 games. I guess maybe he got hurt in the Baltimore game.
2.5.
2.5. 14 points in game 1, 7 in game 2, 2. But just tight ends aren't exciting. Even Rob Gronkowski, and we'll talk about our disappointments later. But just wanted to bring that up. Tight ends definitely interesting topic of conversation in fantasy. You pretty much hate them. There's nothing more really to say. Okay, let's start off by looking at the RMAC standings. So yeah, I'm in work mode these days as well. But these standings in the Mile High affiliates, and I'll quickly go through them here. 3 teams. There's no one undefeated, as Todd mentioned. 3 teams at 3-1. Aaron's at the top right now because he has the most points scored amongst the 3-1 teams. Gonzo Cats is right behind him. Aaron has 594 points. Gonzo Cats at 537. Myself at 3-1, getting that big win over Aaron, scoring 160 points.
Stop
Boy, it was
bringing
close.
up the pass. Stop bringing up the pass.
That's all this show is about, the past. We're going to talk about the past 4 weeks.
Stop bringing up the pass.
So those are the top teams at 3-1. Then you have 6 teams that are 2-2, including the Tamales, Mikey over here, Kevin. How about Robbie takes it in the backfield at 2-2, Kilgore, Trout, and Notorious CUP. And then you have the bottom dwellers in the Belt Sanders, who has 420 total points for Allen. Todd, 1-3 with 502 points. That's actually one more point than I have.
Yeah,
just goes to show. Just goes to show.
Yeah, imagine if he didn't have that 171 points last week.
Yeah, no kidding. He'd be down there in Allen. And then how about Supreme Clientele at 1-3? Now he's going to be the first team we talk about. We all liked his team at the beginning of the season. What's kind of went wrong with him? And
points against are pretty brutal.
Yeah, 568. It's definitely up there.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel bad for him because his team isn't bad. He's just kind of, hit people on the wrong weeks. It's pretty much bad luck. I mean, his opponents in his 3 losses are averaging 157 points.
That's crazy. That's a big number.
Yeah,
for sure.
And the problem with that is is now he doesn't have D'Angelo Williams to use anymore.
Yep.
Eric Decker's injured.
Hurt.
Again.
And so Latavius Murray, we just found out, is going to be out this week. So
Yes.
he's
As Eric is playing Ryan this week, so let's keep the bad times rolling
that bad,
for Supreme Clientele.
yeah, the bad luck through the first 4 weeks. I have a hard time now being able to see him get out of this.
Wow, are you that? I mean, if he's got a good team, he can win a couple games in a row. I don't know if he's going to win this week because he's playing me. But, I mean, he's got a good enough team, right? I mean, D'Angelo kills you.
Not with the
unless Le'Veon Bell gets hurt. I mean, we watched that game, Aaron and I, and boy, Le'Veon looked spectacular. But we'll talk about running backs as we go along.
He looked hot. He looked hot.
He looked good. Aaron was salivating over here.
He looked hot.
But like Brandon Cooks, also one of my huge disappointments this year, had 2 points I think last week, 2 the previous week, and this is a guy who was drafted in the top 2 or 3 rounds. I have to find out exactly where he was drafted, but he's been a huge disappointment this year.
And Ryan knows that. We were texting back and forth on Sunday, and I saw the "fuck Brandon Cooks" thing in one of the texts. So he's well aware of Brandon Cooks' struggles.
So unless Antonio Brown can, keep – I mean, obviously Antonio Brown had one down week. I mean, only 5 points for Antonio Brown, considered the best wide receiver in the league and in fantasy. To some degree, you better hope he can put up at least 20-plus points every single week, which obviously he's capable of doing that. But, I mean, obviously that first week, all the way down from top to bottom, the team looked like it was unstoppable. How many points each of those players put up, but yeah, it's going to be tough because then you have LaShawn McCoy. Even though he said this morning, he said they might have like a injured finger or something or a thumb.
Yeah, injured finger.
That wouldn't stop a running back.
Injured finger.
I know,
unless it's stuck up his rear end somewhere. I don't think.
But sometimes too, that affects how you carry the ball too, because when you're gripping,
but you can wrap that stuff up, won't it?
He's got a pretty good deep team. I think with some good management, he'll be all right.
I mean, he gets Tom Brady back, right? And that dude can light it up. They don't run the ball when he's a quarterback.
And that'll help because Eli hasn't been very good for him, which I thought,
Yeah,
that
was a
big surprise on that one.
Oh, stop, Mike. You were on the Eli train.
And that's what
you told me in every league that I was in, make sure you get Eli over Phillip Rivers or whoever.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I believed in Eli. It just hasn't come to fruition yet.
Gross.
There's still time. Time. Okay, let's keep going here. Kilgore Trout was another team that we thought was really good. He's 2-2 this year. Some of the things that I've noticed about his team, and you guys can obviously chime in. Poor guy. I mean, he did score a league high 193 points in week 3 versus takes it in the backfield. But, man, there's another guy who's kind of been on the bad end of the bad luck. Just like last year, he led our league in points scored and missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
So he's just had a bad luck.
Yeah, snake bitten. He's leading, our league in points again. He's averaging over 150 a game, and somehow he's 2-2. So, again, he's having to deal with people scoring over close to 160 against him every week.
Kevin.
Looking at Kilgore Trout's roster, honestly, I still believe the same thing we believed after the draft, that he does have one of the best teams in the league. I think it'll even out. He hasn't played Todd yet. I don't think he's played Allen yet. He hasn't played. I don't know if he's played NWA yet either. So, there's some wins out there.
Yeah, he's had Drew Brees, and Drew Brees has done pretty well. I think he's second in quarterback. He does have to run with Carson Wentz this week. Obviously, Jordan Nelson has had some good weeks this week. Ezekiel and Crowell. He's got really good running backs if you just compare it in the state. He's got Jack Doyle this week. So we'll see. And then Travis Benjamin. So he's got a pretty solid team as well. He does have Kelsey and Breeze on buys this week, so he can't use those. But
Yes.
Do we want to say anything about Allen's team? Other than what's his new name going to be next year?
To be honest, this is not only the worst team in our league, it might be the worst team ever in our league.
In the history. Now, how would I go back and look that up? I mean, do we go by the points at the end of the year? And
now, he's going to win a couple games like we thought that he would because he does play Todd twice. He already beat him
my
once.
God. So you're saying he's better than Todd?
And he plays Todd again in week 9. And at that point, Todd has 6 people on bye week 9, so it gives Allen another opportunity to beat him.
It's hard to make some trades, Todd. Just beat Allen. Don't lose to Allen again.
I know.
It looks like a well-intentioned team to me, but there's a lot of big, gigantic, gaping holes there.
Why so many Carolina Panthers? Ted Ginn, Corey Brown, Mike Tolbert, Jonathan Stewart. What is the point of that? I don't understand. And Justin Forsett is still on his team. He's not even on a team.
Well, like I told Eric, it looks. I was mistaken. I thought I was looking at the waiver wire when I was looking at his team.
Well, I mean, if there's nothing else out there, you hope that maybe Forsett gets on a team and then helps them out. I mean, that's my only assumption. Because, I mean, he's moving people in and out. He's got Mike Tolbert starting this week, so he's paying attention, but maybe he doesn't like what's out there in the waiver wire. I don't know. I mean, that's my only thought process.
I could see that.
What Allen needs to do right now is sell Gronk.
Yeah,
Get rid of Gronk. Hopefully Cam Newton turns things around because he's been a huge disappointment, but we'll talk about that later on the show. But he's been a huge disappointment. Maybe get rid of Gronk now and maybe get a couple pieces.
Gronk's going to come around, though. Gronk
Well,
will
Brady's
be fine.
back.
Gronk will be fine in, like, November.
Right, but that's why if you could sell Gronk for
can't
like 2 good pieces, because Allen, his whole team is a bunch of
He doesn't have
holes.
one good piece outside of Cam Newton.
So, yeah, you can sell Gronk for 2 good pieces.
Yeah, but Gronk hasn't done shit. It's like, who's going to
But I mean,
buy high on
but
him
the
right
state
now?
of tight ends are so bad that I think someone may. If someone's loaded and has some pieces on the bench that maybe they can get rid of, or if they have someone on the bench, like I'm not saying I would go for this, but I have like Willie Snead on the bench. I have Greg Olsen. Maybe I give him, I don't know, running back on my roster that maybe Kenneth Dixon ends up doing well, and I give him 3 guys for Gronk. If I think Gronk, I don't know if he will be because he's been a big disappointment this year too, but he's been kind of injured.
Yeah, that's the
but I
point.
mean, if I have those pieces,
someone's gonna sell him that. Like, well, Gronk hasn't done shit, and you know he's going to.
so I don't know. I'm just saying Gronk is a phenomenal player. I mean, if we're trying to save Allen's team, that's your big thing. Unless you think Cam Newton and you trade Cam Newton too. And we can look at
I think
that,
trading Cam and Gronk on the same deal, if you can get enough for him, that would actually be a brave gamble that might actually pay off. But it'd be interesting.
All right, well, let's keep going because we want to talk about our own individual teams. And Aaron, you're the guest here. We'll start with you.
I am the guest here.
You haven't made the playoffs since 2012.
Thanks for bringing that up.
You do have 2 championships, so that's great.
I do have 2.
So
yeah, they're very ancient.
What's worked well for you? What kind of stands out amongst your team? And what do you like about your team? What do you hate about your team? Just go at it. Let us hear. I mean, you're 3-1. That's great.
What stands out about my I like the fact that I'm up 53-1 right now. That's what stands out about my team. It's like
he's playing Todd, by the way, this week. Todd came in with just this face. Like,
it was 2 against 1 on Thursday night. And I'm up 53-1.
David Johnson is no joke, folks.
I slept very well last night. Really, really, really well.
Yeah, Aaron was pretty much dancing out here when I got back from the gym, and Aaron was just he was in a really good mood.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that, especially after.
Okay, so you're killing Todd this week. What else is good about your team? What's worked out well for you?
I think honestly, like I told you, DeMarco Murray's actually gave me a lot more production than I thought he would.
No kidding.
He was kind of like. I was kind of hoping for like the kind of Chris Johnson effect that I got last year, where I was like, they might squeeze all the juice they got left out of him this one year with the Titans before Henry takes over. And I think the other one was Diggs kind of played a little bit better than I was expecting. I basically drafted a lot of like C-level receivers and was hoping that one of them or 2 might make it up to a B. So.
Larry Fitzgerald's been an A.
And Larry Fitzgerald, surprisingly, has been an
2
A
touchdowns
so far.
last night.
He's actually been really steady. That the man has shown no age. So
Hall of Famer,
I appreciate it.
Oh,
Hall of Famer, right?
First ballot.
I don't know if it'll be first ballot.
Yeah, he will.
I don't know.
so?
Yes, he will.
I mean, I guess because everybody loves him. The media love him, right?
He will. It's just
you're telling me that he gets it. I mean, I guess I'd have to
He's
compare
just
his
a
numbers.
nice guy. and
He's
he
a
has
super nice guy,
Really cool hair.
right?
No, but you know what?
And he
it
loves
is?
his mom.
And he loves his
Is he not only has the statistics, but he has like the playoff moments that you remember to go along with it.
That's true.
They can always
is a
go
good
back
point.
to that playoff run that they had when the Cardinals went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, with Kurt Warner.
It was all him, pretty much.
Yeah,
That is true.
I mean, you see him splitting that Pittsburgh defense. That'll stick in my mind forever. Okay, so back to Aaron's team.
Back to me.
Back to Aaron.
Talk about me.
One of the things, I mean, you have the best, and we'll talk about more running backs, but I mean, man, you got to love your running backs. You're the only team in our league that runs 3 running backs.
You know what? And that is a stark contrast to any team I've ever had, which usually running back is like my weakest point. It just landed that way during the draft. I remember having that conversation with Mikey where he was debating on Le'Veon Bell and Evans, and I was like, please don't take Le'Veon Bell. I'm willing to take the gamble. But, so I don't know. We'll see how it works out. Like I think I was saying, I don't have much depth at running back, so if one of them gets hurt, I'm fucked. But as long as everybody is okay, I feel pretty good about my situation.
Once we go through the running backs, because I have a list of everybody's at least top 3 running backs, in my opinion, in terms of usage and what they're going to go forward, even if one got hurt, you're still in really good position. Because the state of the running back world is terrible, and we'll talk more about it. The last thing I want to ask you about is Jimmy Graham. Now, he's on a bye this week, but, boy, you've gotten 2 solid weeks. Everybody laughed and said, what are you doing? You're wasting a pick.
I drafted him pretty low.
And I will,
he was pretty low.
And I will have to say that I thought it was a good pick.
I drafted
him.
When we had the post really low. I thought he was
tooting my own horn, but I mean he's worked out well. You got to be excited for that.
Not really, because I still don't like Jimmy Graham. I still even after what he's done so far this year.
Is this the time to sell him then? Trade him for something?
No, because I think he's on the up curve. I think he could do better than he's done.
But you don't like him.
He's healed up. He's been hurt a lot. I think he actually can show even more progress. I don't like Seattle's offense. I don't like anything about it. Unless I'm a running back there, I just don't like it.
But why don't you trade him? He's unless you think he's going to be busting out 15, 20 points every week.
Like he said, we've got the tight end problem. I mean, where are our tight ends at?
I guess you just figure.
I feel like there's a better ceiling for him than I'm going to get out of him if I was going to try to trade him.
Are you talking about like where is he on the points scale?
Right. I think it was like mid-tier, like somewhere, from 1 to 10, maybe.
Sure. So going through the tight ends, I think he was in the top 25 at least because he was really bad the first 2 weeks. And then he's been double figures the last 2 weeks. I mean, it's hard to go by like who are the top guys.
No, he's done extremely solid. I was pretty happy with his production.
Well, maybe you can sell him to Allen.
It was a surprise. I took a flyer on him. He was a wild card. I wasn't expecting anything out of him.
Well, it's good, but I think it's great when you have a lottery ticket pay off.
Yeah, so far.
Well,
I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm not getting ahead of myself with Jimmy Graham.
Here's the humble Aaron right now. But when you guys are not here, it's boo. He's booing me when I walk in the door.
No.
He's telling me my team's horrible.
I
He's
will
wearing
boo
his
you.
Vikings
I
hat.
will boo you.
Here's humble Aaron.
No. Not humble Aaron tells you David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell are going to fuck all of you up. But humble Aaron says that Jimmy Graham, I'm still not sold on him. So
I'm not gonna
you got to know where your strengths are at.
I'm not going to argue with Aaron because, I mean, just look at his team. He's the only guy. There's only 3 running backs that are averaging 20 points a game right now, and he has all 3.
He has all 3.
So that's
I know.
It's great. Aaron,
I'm getting rock hard just thinking about it.
And Todd's sitting next to him. So from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, let's go to Todd. And, there's a lot of things we can talk about. Deion Lewis, obviously, before the season ever started. Keenan Allen was another guy. You did get your first win. You put up 170-some points last week. What is the state of the Butterfingers as we speak when you are already down 53? As you possibly go 1-4.
Well, like I said, I was staring 1-4 in 0-4 in the face. Thank God Matt Ryan threw the ball at 503 yards. Thank be to God on that one. And
Tom's getting really religious on this last week.
Really,
here.
Trust me, there was a lot of praying during the week. Like, oh my God, what am I gonna? I can't be 0-4. And also, I mean, Todd Gurley. I knew that Rams offense was going to be horrible just because of the quarterback situation, but it looks like now Case Keenum's starting to find a little bit of a rhythm, and they're getting a little bit of the passing game going.
But how does that affect him? Is he catching passes?
He did catch some passes He did catch some passes.
How much is some? Can we look at the numbers on this one?
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at least this last week. I'll check out his season while he continues to talk. Yes. But it looked like he caught 5 balls in his last game. So that's not bad.
A lot.
But he had 19 carries for 33 yards.
Yeah, he's averaging 2.6 yards a carry.
And for a guy that's not a PPR guy normally.
Yeah, now obviously.
So does that scare you as the owner, or you feel like, well, he's going to get enough touches? Because he is really the only guy they have running back wise. So, I mean, he's going to get all the carries. But, I mean, does that scare you as a...
No, because I know what Todd Gurley's really capable of.
But does Jeff Fisher?
Who knows?
This is a good point. I was texting Aaron this the other day that he's so scared that Gurley's going to get hurt. He does not use him in certain
I'm not
situations.
a Jeff Fisher fan. So.
And just for record, Gurley has 8 total catches on the year. 216 total yards, 2 touchdowns. Both those touchdowns came in the same game, if I'm not mistaken.
Todd Gurley's a great player.
So yeah,
awesome
I just think, like I said, as that passing game just gets better and better, I think that'll open more holes for Todd Gurley to run through.
So are you done with the Carson Palmer train? Because you loved you some Carson Palmer at the beginning of the season. You were pretty much riding his member there for a good portion of the show.
I think at once he said he loved him.
Yeah. He was in his love for sure.
Me, Eric, and Quayna all told you no.
But Carson Palmer has been disappointing. He's hurt. Matt Ryan has a really, really tough schedule. He's got Denver, then he's got Carolina. So are you hoping Carson Palmer comes back? Or
Wait,
you
does
riding?
Carolina look so tough now?
Well, I guess that's true.
No, he actually has at Denver, at Seattle.
Seattle.
Ooh,
Okay,
ouch.
so my mistake. So what are your thoughts of your quarterback going forward?
Oh, it's gonna have to be Matt Ryan. It's gonna have to be Matt Ryan just because. I mean, granted, again, it was against Carolina and their shitty secondary that I think we all four of us could have, thrown on because it's that bad.
I could have.
Exactly. So, I think I think it just has to be Matt Ryan going forward because Thursday night, whether when Palmer comes back or if it's going to be Stanton all the way or whatever.
No one's ever said that before. Stanton all the way.
But it is. I mean, if Carson Palmer and the concussion, because let's face it, through the offseason and into the season, concussions are no joke, and he's an older quarterback, so you have to be very careful. But I think now David Johnson's performance, on Thursday night.
Sublime. You could use that word.
Mikey, let me ask you this. Is Matt Ryan for real? He leads our league in points in terms of quarterback. He's a 229, which is 10 above Drew Brees. Is he for real? I mean, is he having a breakout year? A lot of people are saying he's in the second year with Kyle Shanahan's offense. This is how you do it, Aaron. I'm so used to being TV. But what do you think?
I'm not going to say that he's not, but I'm still in wait-and-see mode.
We're 4 weeks in. Didn't we a little past wait and see?
No, we're not. Because
grab your balls, buddy.
The
Come on.
Falcons opened up last year like 5 or 6-0.
They were 6-0 last year.
And then they tanked.
But I don't think that was because of Matt Ryan.
Because of the offensive line.
Well, it was offensive line and the defense.
Yeah.
Well, the defense.
Not that I'm saying the defense is great, but I'm saying Matt Ryan's playing better at this point this year than he was last year.
Same problems.
Yeah. Offensive line is better. Yeah. He hasn't been running for his life this year.
But if the defense is really bad,
it's going to be on Sunday, I'll tell you that much.
That's true.
They play the Broncos this weekend for those who don't know. Okay. Well, I wanted to ask about anything else you want to say about your team, Todd?
I would just say one of my, and obviously we'll just talk about it when we get to our love-hate players, but Matt Jones looks like it looks like now he's going to be the bell cow going forward. So I'm kind of.
Well, he was always the bell cow, but it's just a matter of him producing
so
with it. He's had a 3-point week, a 13-point week, an 8-point week, and a 20-point week. Had 117 rushing yards last week with a touchdown. So
hot.
Inconsistent sounds about right.
But I mean,
but he catch it
with the running backs. Then I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
But he's the main guy in Washington, and let's
far.
face it, in our league, where running backs, as I said, are not a diamond. I know I beat that like a dead horse, but running back, no.
He's looking for a miracle.
I know. I'm not looking for a miracle. I'm just saying it's they're showing life that that he's going to be the guy, especially even at the goal line, and does catch balls as well. So I think Matt Jones it does give me some hope going forward.
Okay, last thing I'm going to say: are you being 1-3 and possibly 1-4, barring the miracle? Are you looking to change anything about your team? Trade anything? Are you going to stand pat and hopefully things kind of fall in place and then you're a contender again?
I'm saying pat. I mean, when we get to it, one trade. That's all. That's it. I have to again go religious. I have to believe in my team. I made a trade to get another decent wide receiver in Will Fuller, which obviously.
How do you feel about that?
I mean,
let's talk about it.
For
those who don't know,
talk about this.
For those who don't know,
this trade.
Todd and I had a trade. He traded me Greg
I hated
Olsen.
it because that's how he beat me, but let's continue.
He traded me Greg Olsen, and he got Jesse James and Will Fuller.
And Will Fuller put up 23 points.
You put 23 points, although the week before he put up 4.
Well,
good trade, bad trade. Anybody can chime in.
Well, I just have to say, on the surface it looked like you got fleeced because, I mean, basically those are two players that Eric picked up after the draft on the waiver wire and basically traded them to you for the guy you drafted in the 5th or 6th round.
8th round, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about that?
we can't be married to our draft picks, right?
Again, tight ends. Let's put it this way: 2 champions I've won. I didn't have top tier tight ends.
Here we go with the championship.
Well, I know. I'm just saying when I needed another decent wide receiver to go along with Emmanuel Sanders. So
I understand. I just thought you could have gotten more.
Yeah.
Well, when you're desperate, you're not thinking straight, right? You're freaking out. This is the text message I get, from Todd on Monday morning. Like, you still willing to be able to trade Fuller? And I'm like, yeah, what are you looking for? And so that's kind of how it goes. All right, let's keep going. Mikey, your team.
Can I just say one thing about Todd's team?
Sure.
I really admire John Brown. Okay, go Mikey.
And is what, two total points? What do you have last night? One total point. All right, so the Tamales are 2-2.
Number.
Mikey, that was Mikey's deal. He's not used to being average, but he is average, right? You were way less than average last year, if I remember correctly. Is that correct? How many wins did you have last year total?
Who knows?
Okay.
Last year never.
Can
happened.
I say
I'm just saying you weren't average last year. You were way below average.
I also like it when Mikey's average. That makes me happy.
A lot of smiles around this table. But go ahead. Let's talk about your team, Miguel, and the state and how you feel about it going forward. Because I'll tell you what, that Randall Cobb is poopy.
Yeah, I'm optimistic though. To
Are
be
you?
honest, yeah. I mean, I'm 2-2. I'm still scoring points, and my top 2 draft picks haven't scored a touchdown yet in 4 weeks.
Your top 2 pick, Odell Beckham being one of them, and Lamar Miller being the other one. Correct.
Correct.
So I know you needed 10 points, which doesn't sound like a lot in a PPR league on Monday night. Correct to beat your opponent. And what did he? I know you didn't get it, but what did he end up with?
5.
With 5 points. Now, obviously, there's a big storylines about him being an emotional player and
Not having fun yet.
Not having fun. Maybe he's talking about retiring. I don't know. But with him, is it concern you going forward, or you think there's better days ahead for Odell Beckham?
Well, I for sure think there's better days ahead, but yeah, I'm concerned. I would just wish that he'd kind of stay out of the limelight, let your play on the field do your talking for you.
Well, that'll never be the case.
Yeah,
He's one of those wide receivers that he wears his emotions on his sleeve. He likes to. I mean, you saw him on Monday. He was getting in people's faces. I mean, Rhodes, he was a great corner, but just like picked at him until he fought back, and then his head was he was bothering Eli, and Eli had to come over and to pat him on the back. It's okay, don't you worry. And then McAdoo had to come over. Don't worry, it's okay. And then that just blows everything out of the water. And I think that's a big reason why they struggled as a team. And you can't have that from one of your best players.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. The reason I'm optimistic, though, is I think one of the big questions after the draft was, I waited until the late rounds to draft a quarterback, like later than I think I've ever have or anybody else has ever had. And, I came away, I have Kirk Cousins and Jameis Winston, who right now are both top 12 quarterbacks in the league.
So you feel good about your quarterback because I know it looks like you're starting Winston this week. Is that
Typical
correct?
Mikey waiting on the quarterbacks.
Yeah, and it's worked out. Both of them are averaging, over 40 points a game, which is what I wanted. I've done a decent job, I think, filling in the different running back spots. Frank Gore, who I know Todd wasn't high on after the draft, has done pretty good, and Christian Michael, he's been great too. So, I feel like I've got enough players to be able to compete and make the playoffs and do something once I get there, especially because I know Lamar Miller and Odell Beckham are going to do better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the Giants will come around.
Yeah, I'm not ready to jump off their train. I mean, he had 2 weeks of double digits before last week, so I think he'll be okay.
They'll always show up in November.
And that's when you want him. You just want to be in the thick of things when people are playing at their best, and that's how the Giants like to go. Anything else you want to say about your team going forward? Or you feel good about it? You don't want to make any trades, or is there anything you're looking to improve on as we go forward?
No, I'm not actively seeking any trades right now. The Randall Cobb thing, yeah, he's been pretty poopy, but I'm willing to let that one play out a little bit.
All right, so
he's got Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers for sure. We'll quickly just go through my team. I've done well. I feel like A.J. Green has been a monster for me this year. He obviously started things off great against Aaron's team last week. Brandon Marshall hasn't been up to par as much as I thought he would be, and that team, obviously, Fitzpatrick throwing a third of his passes to the opposing team as opposed. But, I mean, he did really well in a tough matchup last week, getting me double figures. The 2 moves I made last week were great. Jordan Howard, I actually drafted him, and then I dropped him, and then I picked him back up 2 weeks before, and that turned out really well. He's got another good matchup this week. And Terrell Pryor, who I waited on my number 1 waiver. That paid off because I know you and I were talking about it, like, wow, Pryor actually throws passes. This is going to be the second coming of Joe Webb in this situation, and maybe he'll pan out.
Same thing.
And I had the number 1 waiver, and decided to use it at that point in time. I was like, oh, and as much as I bitched about having a Brown on my team at the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm not going to have a Brown. If I have a Brown on my team, it's going down the wrong way.
There are certain
and
teams
it's actually paid off.
There's certain teams I stay away from. Browns, Bills, Titans, which I just dropped my last Titan, which is good. There's certain teams I just fucking hate, and Browns are one of them. Though I had Duke Johnson last year, and he didn't do too bad.
He wasn't too bad. Giovanni Bernard's been up and down. Willie Snead, he's been injured, but I think he'll be a guy I might look to trade later on, depending on how he kind of goes along in his season. But he's been really good. Jerry Macklin's been good in spots. Thomas Rawls has been a huge disappointment. Now, he's been injured, and he hasn't really had a chance. But like with Kristen Michael coming in, and Mikey's got him, and he's done great, that just breaks my heart. Because I had a lot of hope and love for Thomas Rawls, and probably a little bit too much. But Kenneth Dixon is coming back in the next few weeks. We'll talk about him later on in the show. I just picked up Bilal Powell because Kevin White's out for the year.
Bilal Powell.
Powell Forte has struggled mightily in the last 2 weeks. And so we'll see. I think his the person I hate the most that's not on my team anymore is Blair Walsh. Good Lord, that guy can't make a field goal for shit. He almost cost me last weekend. Luckily, he did hit a 40-yarder later on. But, Phillip Rivers has done – he hasn't been as great as I thought he was going to be, but he's been in the top 5 or 6.
Yeah, and he gets Denver 2 out of the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be rough, but, he's going to have to throw the ball. But,
he's going to have to throw the ball.
And there's that no-fly zone.
Period.
So, I have Andy Dalton on the bench, and he's been so-so. So if I need to bring him in, he's got Cleveland at one point, Washington, the Giants. So if I need to throw him in,
not bad.
But that'll be a situation later down the road. He's got a great matchup this week versus Oakland. Anybody want to say anything about my team before we continue on the show?
I hate
3-1. I really like
that.
my team. Thanks, Aaron. That means I know you.
I do. How are you liking Giovanni Bernard so far?
As much I love that pick, and a part of me still kind of does, but. He said he had that 19-point week. The 1 week I didn't play him, he had 19 points, 6-5 the next 2 weeks. So he's underachieving.
His name is not as. His name is cooler than his game. Actually, that's kind of where I go. Yeah.
I'm not ready to dump him yet because running backs aren't great.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Jeremy Hill has not. He has had some good weeks and some bad weeks. So we'll see. I'm not ready. Not ready to jump out that train yet. But Jordan Howard, who I thought would be good because Jeremy Langford's terrible. We'll talk about that later on the show as Todd kind of shakes his head because, he was a big fan of Jeremy Langford. But Howard looked fantastic, and C.J. Anderson, while his rush totals haven't been great, he has scored a touchdown in every week. And he catches balls, and I really like C.J. Anderson going forward. All right, so that's any other thing you want to say about the team? And I think we went through the standings, and the team's pretty good. If something comes up, we can definitely go about it. Since this is our first podcast since the draft, before the right after the post draft, I'm gonna go through the players that are out for the year, and boy, there's a lot of them, and there's some big names. Adrian Peterson, obviously the first overall pick. Whoops, that was definitely the wrong pick. If it ever measures itself out now,
he's potentially coming back though, right?
There's an outside chance, yes. Robbie still has him on his bench. Fine. If you're hoping for the best,
if you pray to Santa Claus, he might come back by Christmas.
So Keenan Allen, obviously for the Butterfingers, and Deion Lewis, 2nd and 3rd round picks. Those guys are out for us. Keenan Allen for sure. Mike actually picked up Deion Lewis not too long ago, maybe in case in week 8 or 9, depending on how long it takes him to get acclimated to preseason.
Typical Mikey behavior, stashing away.
Yep, so that's been rough. Danny Woodhead, obviously Mikey needs Deion Lewis because Danny Woodhead's out for the year. Poor Armac kid, we hate to see that.
I don't mind.
No, Aaron's okay with it. Sammy Watkins, we just heard. We were all excited because he was probably the steal of the draft in a lot of our opinions. Not so much anymore. Poor Sammy Watkins. Josh Gordon, taken in the 8th round. Can't stay off the booze or the weed or the whatever he's doing these days. Kilgore Trout picked him up. Unfortunately, Teddy Bridgewater, he was drafted, but not really a big deal. And then Chris Johnson, who's just out, put on the IR, still on Globex's team, if I saw that correctly today.
Nice kid, but his better days are gone.
Yeah. So let's talk about our most valuable players, guys. And I'm not. If you guys want to talk about in the real world, fine. But I want to be more in specific to our league and why teams are doing so well. So we'll start with Mikey this time. Give me an MVP that has really stood out to you this year.
DeMarco Murray.
Yes. Drafted in the 4th round. He's 3rd in running back in total points.
Yeah. He's been
exceeded
amazing.
expectations.
I think a lot of people in the preseason thought, this is going to be a timeshare with him and Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
And it hasn't at all. It's been all the DeMarco Murray show.
Yeah. For the last few weeks, I think it was 6 total carries for Derrick Henry. So they've been definitely riding him more often than not.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great for Aaron. He's catching passes. He's getting all the carries at the goal line. Yeah, I mean, at this point in the fourth round, I mean, he's been the steal of the draft.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, when I said he was third in running backs in points, he was actually first before last night when Carlos Hyde and David Johnson went bananas with their 2 great games, and so that's why he was actually pushed to third.
Yeah.
Because 2 guys actually have played one more game than him. 340 yards rushing so far, 3 rushing touchdowns, 19 receptions for 156 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, look at his game log.
Wow.
2017, 24, and 24.
That's insane. That's insane. That was a great draft pick by Aaron, for sure.
He's a good talent, is what I'll say. He's a good talent.
Will it happen? Now, he's had a history of being injured. Does that scare you? I mean, do you feel comfortable going forward? Is this a super sell high? Maybe you try to get someone.
And I'll be honest, initially, after week 2, I was thinking sell high on him. Yeah, I think I'm going to ride with him.
Yeah.
I think it seems to me that the Titans are pretty much kind of set on him being their bell cow right now.
At some point, if the passing game's not working, though.
And the passing game is not working worth shit. Not even close.
So you figure they're going to try to do something.
That's all you have, at this point. So, trust me, I'm not going to pretend like I'm a genius on that one. But he seemed like the safe pick at the time, similar to like Larry Fitzgerald, where it's like, oh, you might get some just consolidated, just really, steady points from this person. You don't have to worry about them putting up a 0. He's actually far exceeded any of my expectations at this point. Is
it because Philly just used him wrong? I mean, he was great in Dallas.
Yes.
Went to Philly,
hey,
did absolutely
can I say this
nothing.
on record?
Go for it, man.
Fuck Chip Kelly. There you go. He's a terrible coach, and I can't wait till he gets fired at the end of this year. So, anyways, continue on your conversation.
Todd.
Because that was also going through my mind while I was drafting. I was like, Chip Kelly's a piece of shit coach. Put him in a boat with Rex Ryan and ship him off somewhere.
that boat might sink a little bit.
It's going to be a heavy boat.
It's going to be a heavy boat.
It's going to be a heavy boat.
So, Todd, give me an MVP that has kind of stood out and has helped some teams this year.
As much as I don't admit it, but player last night, David Johnson, it's freaking amazing.
This is.
He can catch.
This feels so good. I feel like I've.
I know he's already scored 98 points. He's already scored 98 points in our league already.
I have 101 points, but
okay,
maybe they adjusted something.
I'm horrible at math, so you're probably right. But anyway, he's I know during the off season I said, Carson Palmer, it's gonna be a throwing seminar all the way through, but David Johnson has just been amazing. I mean, so hard to tackle as well, and it just looks like now at this point, until maybe Carson Palmer comes back, it's going to be the focus a little bit because they're not going to.
Even if though, I mean, last year all I had to do. There was a key play last year where I watched with David Johnson. It was actually when I picked him up off waivers, which is hard to believe at this point that he was ever on waivers. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, that's my mistake.
But he caught like a swing pass coming out of the backfield, and just the way he moved, like through these players and ran down the sideline for a touchdown, I was like, holy shit, this guy is the real fucking shit. And after that, I picked him up like immediately without question. And it's like I keep telling people, and when I picked him first, I was like, he passes the fucking eye test. And he passes the fucking eye test. He passes the fucking eye test.
Yeah,
and there was that one play just watching that. It's like you didn't have to watch anything else. All I had to do was watch that play, and I was like, that guy's going to be a fucking star. That's it. Why I'm not a coach, I don't know. I don't know.
That is the $1 million question, Aaron.
No, but I mean, I was just so impressed by just watching a few plays by him that I just like that guy is going to be something.
Right now he's putting himself in the upper echelon of top running backs in the league now, up there with Adrian Peterson, Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, he can get there. He can get there. There's still ways to go, but yeah, he can get there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's so far.
Todd just has that David Johnson bitter taste in his mouth that's still residing from last night's tough. But
it's a sweet taste if you give into it.
It makes sense.
Don't resist.
He's the best player on the best team right now.
Don't resist.
But does that constitute an MVP, or does it constitute as he drafted him, third, second overall, fourth overall. So is that your most valuable player, or does the most valuable player come from a guy who was drafted later and helping a team out? I don't know. I think you can go either way. Either way.
think-
I'm just throwing it out there. So, Aaron, do you have an MVP? I know we kind of brought you on late, but is there
Well,
someone that
yeah,
jumped
they
out?
brought me on late, and basically all the MVPs are on my team. So,
Here we
Gee,
go.
if we
Here
thought Mikey wasn't humble, Aaron, it's just the
look,
family
hey,
in general.
Hey, me and Mikey have the same blood. We are smug assholes when we're winning, and that's
This
just
is
how
true.
things go.
Yep.
Right?
Daniel's the same way.
Yeah,
James.
we both think that we're smarter than everybody else, and the truth is, we usually are.
I've always considered myself to be very humble. I don't know where this smug talk's coming from.
Anyway, Aaron, MVP, someone else that hasn't been mentioned. If it's on your team, it's fine. Just
It would be tough. I'm not going to go with somebody on my team. I'll have to go either with someone on your team or someone on Ryan's team, like AJ Green or Andre Brown at this point. I think they both.
Antonio Brown?
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown is
Antonio
great.
Brown at this point. Yeah, I think they've both done.
It's fun to watch Antonio Brown play. I mean, he just has that ability to. It doesn't. I mean, it's amazing. He's 5'10", 5'11", and does what he does to get open and find. I mean, Ryan is 1-3, but I mean, he got a steal. I think drafting him in number 2
kidding.
because some people decided to draft.
I mean, talk
Andrew
about
Peterson
passing the
first.
eye test on that guy. It's like fucking watching a black hole just suck up footballs. I don't think I've ever seen a receiver.
Why's it got to be a black hole?
Hey,
we get racist.
I'm talking about even like on Jerry Rice level. I don't think I've seen a receiver that just you can throw a football at him and it just disappears into his hands.
No, he's got
with
incredible
such
hands.
ease.
Okay, I'm going to mention a guy that I probably wouldn't name as my MVP, but a guy that stands out to me that's done really well is I mean, his yards per carry ain't great, but how about Melvin Gordon, who had 0 touchdowns last year? 0. And he played in an offense where he was the main running back. You can count Danny Woodhead as a scat back, but he's currently 75 points, 230 yards rushing, so not big, but he's got 6 touchdowns, so they're giving it to him at the 1. Danny Woodhead's gone. He does have 13 catches, and he was drafted in the 8th round, and he's currently 4th in points.
Yeah, he was the other guy on my list that I had next to DeMarco Murray was Melvin Gordon. So, yeah, right on. Yeah, he definitely surprised me.
Surprised everyone.
Really?
You know?
He surprised you guys?
Oh, stop it.
No, I had
Jesus.
him on my list. Are you? You guys didn't?
He was on my list at a point. It's not like he was going to go undrafted, but for a guy that did absolutely nothing in his rookie year. Plus, he was coming out. He had an injury in the preseason too.
Yeah, who the fuck cares? Like that's the biggest thing about drafting that I've.
Wait a minute. Who the fuck cares? Did I just go through a list of running backs that are like not playing right now?
Not playing right now, but the biggest thing that I've realized doing this for so long is like, do not be afraid of injuries during preseason when drafting.
Oh, that's so
Do not
wrong.
be afraid of
That's so
suspensions during drafting. No, you can't do it. Look, if I'm going to give a message to anybody who's drafting next year, if a guy gets hurt during preseason and it's not serious, don't be afraid of it. If a guy is suspended during preseason and it's not serious, do not be afraid of it. Draft them anyway. It's the one lesson I've learned doing this thing for so fucking long is that you can't overvalue minuscule shit that happened in the preseason.
It's not just that though.
Well, and they had Woodhead there too.
Right, there's Woodhead in the way. He was bad last year. The offensive line was bad, and so I mean there was so many factors on why he dropped. It's not what I mean. He didn't show anything. He was injury prone in college, so it wasn't like wow he's being overlooked. There was no reason to draft this guy unless you needed a spot on your roster.
And you knew Woodhead is going to be like the third down back, but still, that's a pretty the depth.
The third round back. He was 4th in our league in scoring last year.
Third down back is what I meant. The third down back, but even still, I mean, with like you said, how bad the depth is as far as running back is. Melvin Gordon at that time was pegged as the starter. Why wouldn't you draft him?
But also, too, I think
But I don't think he was the clear-cut starter.
No.
At the time, he
For
was.
Danny
From all
Woodhead-
the sources I had him ranked pretty high. Somebody else nabbed him before I did.
Danny Woodhead in our league.
Yeah, and I tried
was
to get Danny
fourth.
Woodhead, and I'm glad I didn't because now
Was
he's hurt.
4th. So that's why he went 4 rounds ahead of him.
Right, no, which makes total sense because Danny Woodhead's the sure bet in that offense. But Melvin Gordon was no sucker, as far as all that's concerned.
But also, too, with Melvin Gordon, you looked at, besides injuries, too, it looked like he wasn't understanding the offense. And when it's...
In the preseason?
No, I'm talking about last year. Last year,
who cares?
I know, but kind of going forward, when a player doesn't... Like, even going with the Broncos, look at how long it's taken Cody Latimer to understand...
Oh, Metro scores. Soccer was playing.
To understand the offense, to finally get it. Now, granted, he's still.
What are you talking about? Cody Latimer hasn't done anything.
Well, no, I'm just talking about just picking up the offense. I mean, he still hasn't, but you looked at the last 2 years, hasn't done anything. So with Melvin Gordon, there was whispers he was having trouble with picking up the offense and learning it, and that's worse. That's worse. That's almost worse than an injury, because then if you're not even understanding the offense or trying to get into the flow of how your team works, they'll sit you on the bench. So it was
in favor of what?
Danny Woodhead.
Well, in favor of somebody.
He's not a 3-down back.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
He can still catch.
They weren't going to win games, but they threw that ball like no other.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the guy you're going to throw to. If we're talking about fantasy points, Danny Woodhead's the man.
Right, correct. But they also have another man that's going to be starting. I don't
Yes.
know.
Okay, so we'll see.
I guess maybe in hindsight, I was higher than him than everybody else.
You might have been. I mean, if he was there at a certain point, but. Anyway, so I'm going to just quickly go through some of these other guys that I thought were definitely need to be mentioned. Obviously, Matt Ryan's been fantastic. A.J. Green, Antonio Brown, Larry Fitzgerald, who's currently first. Now, he does have an extra game because he's played already. But that just goes to show how great he's got 79 points. Marvin Jones Jr., who is seventh currently in terms of points. He's kind of regressed a little bit, but I mean, Golden Tate's been awful. We'll talk about that. So Marvin Jones has been off to a great start. Isaiah Crowell drafted in the 12th round, and he's 7th in points. So Kilgore Trout doing a good job there. LeGarrette Blount, although I think that's going to kind of come back down to earth with Tom Brady back. He was drafted in the 10th round, and he's had a really good start to the season. Mike Wallace, who drafted in the 16th round. Yes, another Aaron guy. 14 receptions, although both those touchdowns, I believe, were in the same game. And I also threw in Jimmy Graham, who's drafted in the 13th round. Okay, so let's go through the most disappointing players thus far. Aaron, why don't you want to look at my list here?
I'm just read them off. I'm just looking. So I'm curious.
Well, no, I want you to pick one. I want you to pick someone out.
Okay. I mean,
while he's looking at my list, Mike,
it's not that hard. Okay. I mean, Julius Thomas is standing out right there off the bat.
Here. How about this? Because I went through and I looked at the first round and a half of our draft. So the first 18 picks. So out of those first 18, I have a list of 11 who have been disappointed.
11 of them?
Yeah. Just go down the list. Odell Beckham, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Marshall, Amari Cooper, Rob Gronkowski, Dez Bryant, Jamal Charles, Adrian Peterson, Todd Gurley, Julian Edelman, Keenan Allen.
Yep, that's a lot.
DeAndre Hopkins surprises me, though. I would not have expected that.
No, he's had a tough season. Will Fuller getting a lot more receptions, and I'm not sure. I haven't seen any Houston games to really know what the problem is. I mean, Hopkins had a couple okay games, but
Osweiler has like 3 passes in his arsenal. That's what the problem is.
Well, the thing is with Hopkins,
is he not? I mean, obviously we saw the quarterback situation with him last year with Brian Hoyer, and I can't even think of another guy that was there last year with him. But I mean, does that make a big difference? I mean, do we think Osweiler's better than Brian Hoyer, or is he not better than Brian Hoyer? Is that the big reason why Hopkins is not getting any love right now?
No, because they're double team. Because teams are really they're
weren't they double teaming him last year?
But they didn't have. But they're trying to make Will Fuller beat them, and obviously, okay, a rookie. Let's see if a rookie can beat it, and he's shown that. So if they double team Hopkins, and
I mean, he had 13 in Week 1, 18 against Kansas City, then he had 6 versus New England, and then 1 versus Tennessee.
Jesus.
Yeah, and maybe it's
should we be worried? That should be the question.
No,
should we be worried going forward?
I'm more worried about. I'll say this: I'm more worried about DeAndre Hopkins than I am about Brandon Marshall or Odell Beckham. And that's because of the quarterback. I have more of a belief that Eli is, because he already has that relationship with Odell, or even Ryan Fitzpatrick already having that relationship with Brandon Marshall, than I am with Osweiler. Osweiler's still kind of unknown.
Okay. I hear you there. Okay, so Mike, do you want to give just one standout above the rest?
Yeah, Gronk.
Gronk, yes. He's definitely one of those guys on my list. He's been terrible. Now, he's been injured too, but there wasn't a lot of injury with him going into the beginning, at least in terms of preseason, so there was no, heads up. He was kind of injured. We knew that his points would be down a little bit without Tom Brady.
I don't know.
But so far, he's in 2 games that he's played, and it's probably been 2.5 or 1.5, 1 reception, 11 yards, and he was drafted in the first round by Allen.
I'm sorry. Anyway.
No, it's tough.
But that's
that's not the pick we should be like scolding him on because Rob Gronkowski was drafted in the first round,
right,
all over the place.
Right, but that's standard Gronk stuff. Gronk usually comes on late anyway. But I think a lot of things, especially with Brady, if you ever watch him play, he forces a lot of passes to Gronk because he knows only Gronk can make that catch. Whereas if you have like a backup quarterback that's a little bit unsure, that's going to take those check downs and not maybe force a high pass or a low pass to a player like that because he just has that confidence in him. It doesn't matter where he places it. He's going to get it. I think that might be some of it. Maybe they're keeping – I don't watch enough Patriots games, which is a good thing because I fucking hate the Patriots. But maybe they're keeping him in the block. But I know just watching a lot of like games with Brady and Gronk, when he passes it to Gronk, he throws it, all over the field because he knows Gronk's going to get it. With like a backup quarterback, might not do the same thing. I don't know.
So
am I talking at my ass right now?
No, I agree with you. I think they have such a good rapport that Gronk is he's on the Gronk planet with Brady. Without Brady, he comes back to the pack a little
He's not that fast. He's not that elusive. But Brady knows if he throws it in his area, he'll get it. And I think that's like the same thing with Jimmy Graham with that Russell Wilson is sort of starting to figure out. Yeah. He's like, he's a tight end. He's slow. He doesn't look open. But if I throw it at him, he'll catch it. And that's kind of like that little tight end quarterback relationship you start to get.
Yeah,
you look like you had something ready to say.
No, there was just another guy that I wanted to mention too.
Oh yeah, sure, we're still in this
conversation. Which was Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's on my list.
Is he still in the league? Is he retired?
Everybody, and this is why CUP is 2-2 because he has multiple guys on this list because he was taking a chance on the Des Bryants and the Alshon Jeffreys and knowing that they had situations. Alshon Jeffrey,
he's got a good team, but yeah.
Sure, if they play at their best. If they're 100%, they're good. But Alshon Jeffrey, 45th in points with only 32, 17 catches, 317 yards, no touchdowns, and he's drafted in the third round. With a guy that has a shitty quarterback, okay, and I know Cutler's hurt, but even when Cutler's in there, he's kind of shitty. And, that offensive line's awful. And to be drafted where he was drafted, I just thought that was a mistake. I know he has this huge upside when Cutler's 100% and he's 100%, but that just never happens.
Well, and that's what you're seeing is if you watch – I've watched a little bit of the Bears. Their offensive line is so bad that Alshon Jeffrey, he's a deep receiver, and there's never, ever any time to get the ball to him. So that's why it's always the Eddie Royal, Kevin White, Zach Miller. Those are the guys that are getting the ball because there's no time to get him the ball.
Yeah, Alshon Jeffrey. I don't see I guess I kind of see the allure, but there was no way I was taking him in the first 3 rounds for sure. But yeah, Des Bryant's another guy. Todd, who's a really disappointing player that you had on your list?
Mike already mentioned with Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, only 36 points so far this season. This is a wide receiver that's top 3, with Julio and Antonio Brown. And I know, the Giants haven't been very great this season, as well. But come on,
I think he'll come around though. I honestly do believe that.
He's athletic enough where, if even if the team's not doing as well, he should still be putting up, double digits at least, even if the team isn't winning. And and where probably he was drafted in a lot of leagues, and obviously Mikey drafted him high. Eli's got to be shaking his head like, come on, dude, I will throw the ball up and you just go and catch the ball. And this whole notion about are you kidding me? Like,
how much is it that Sterling Shepard's there and Victor Cruz is there now? Because, they've been getting, Sterling Shepard's put up, and I don't agree that he's like I guess based on where he's drafted, he has 2 double-digit touchdown or 2 double-digit weeks on the season. But
but this is the number 1 option.
He was drafted at number 3, number 2, number 4, depending on where you are. But
here's what I'll say: it's a factor, but it's not that big of a factor. His targets are still there. The thing that's different from this year to the previous years is he's dropping passes.
Yeah, that I didn't know. That I don't see. Yeah. So he's been dropping passes.
He's Demaryius Thomasing it.
Oh, we just turned Demaryius Thomas into a verb. Well done.
Yeah, it's kind of opposite. My team, Mike Evans has found a pair of hands.
Although
he must have stolen them. From
I did
Odell
see
Beckham.
A stat today that Mike Evans actually leads the NFL in targets, but doesn't lead the league in receptions. So
I was looking at your list. I saw Eddie Lacy. I think everybody had a fucking hard on for Eddie Lacy at the draft.
I was disappointed I didn't get him.
Yeah, a lot of
in the
people,
second round. I was like, one more pick.
A lot of people were busting a nut over fucking.
Now
Eddie
he
Lacy.
has had a bye week.
Okay. So
But
So-
he's still 43rd in points, no touchdowns, just 2 receptions.
What does everybody think he did on his bye week?
8.
Ate some
He
pizza.
worked,
He
he
did the
worked
same.
out.
He did the same thing I did on his bye week. He fucking watched football and drank a couple beers and like ate a pizza. That fat son of a bitch.
So going forward, is Eddie Lacy? Should this be a problem? I mean, Eddie Lacy, led by Gonzo Cats, has 23 total points in 2 games. Well, no, I guess in 3 games because he had the 1 week bye. But are we concerned going forward?
It is a concern because watching Green Bay, the one thing they try and do with him, which never made any sense to me, is they always try and run him to the outside. Like that's going to work. He's a bigger back. He needs to work on draw plays, maybe a little cut back inside. Running him to the outside, he's never going to be fast enough to get around.
Never. They should just power play action. But you know what? I'm not a coach.
I think he's going to be okay going forward. And the only reason, just looking over his stats, he's got
what is okay?
He's
mean?
got 61 yards rushing in the first game, 50 yards and 12 carries, and 103 yards in his last game. Now the problem is that he's not catching any balls. Now if you get 1 or 2 more touchdowns, he shoots up the list. So I think if he just gets a little bit more run, and I don't know why he's not getting run at the goal line because John Kuhn is gone, and that's another fantasy problem. Is fucking John Kuhn. He can suck dick. He's screwing everybody in the fucking world. No one has. I mean, that dude's got 5 touchdowns already. This is bullshit.
That's what it does.
Anyway, Eddie
That's
Lacy,
what it does.
I think Eddie Lacy's going to be
a
fine
snake.
going forward. I don't know if he's a top guy, but I think he'll be fine. All right, so some of the guys I had on my list, Cam Newton, awful.
Interesting.
Awful.
Interesting. How do we feel about
14
Cam Newton going forward?
Hold on, let me go through the stats real quick. He was drafted in the 4th round by Allen. He has 6 passing touchdowns, 974 yards passing, 77 completions. He's 167 points, which is 14th, and he hasn't had a bye week, by the way. And he's behind guys like Kirk Cousins and Joe Flacco. So there you go.
Sky's the
Now,
limit.
fuck Flacco at 55 and almost ruined it for me last week.
Hey,
But without those 55 points,
I
maybe
told ya.
behind. You're right. You're right about
I
that.
told you Flacco was going to come around.
But
that
Cam Newton,
game. Raiders
a
are the
guy
worst
that I mean, he was my
passing
number 1 quarterback
defense
going
in the
in. What's wrong with Cam Newton? And should we worry about him going forward?
Really, he was your number 1.
He was my number
Why?
1.
Yeah, you know what I,
Well, if
you
you
know
would
what I
listen
think
to
it
the
is?
broadcast, you would know why.
You know what I think it is with Cam, and I think he's going to be fine. But no matter who he's playing, whether it's
Fine.
the Falcons or the Buccaneers this week, I think every time he drops back to pass, you see him, he turns his head. It's like he thinks Von Miller is coming at him every single time.
It's like, oh shit, it's Von Miller. I think too, it's adversity. Last year they were on cloud 9. They were just running through that NFC, and everyone's like, oh, this is from offensively, defensively, this team is stacked. It's gonna win. They're gonna win the Super Bowl. But now, since they've lost some games, Cam Newton's like, oh, what's going on? Why aren't we winning? Why, I'm a big quarterback. I can run through anything. And
Is it a Cam Newton problem or is it a Carolina Panther problem?
I think
Carolina's 1-3 and they lost 2 games if you count the Super Bowl. 2 games all of last season and they've lost 3 already. Now, obviously the defense isn't as good. The running back situation is even worse this year. I mean, Kelvin Benjamin's back, but I mean,
Well, and I think maybe that screwed up some of the harmony within their offense. As great as Kelvin Benjamin is, and he's putting up stats, I almost sometimes see him forcing it to him. And he now that he's got him, it's pretty much Benjamin and Greg Olsen. Like none of those other guys that were helping him.
yeah, you haven't heard word 1 about Ted Ginn.
Ted Ginn, Corey Brown, all of the guys on Allen's team. None of them are getting
Devin Funches.
anything. Yeah, Devin Funches.
Yeah, you haven't heard anything about Devin Funches either.
He's not even trying to throw to those guys. It's just all Benjamin and Olsen.
Wow.
He's almost trying to make up for I feel so bad you were injured, so let me force the ball to you every single time. It's just not going to work.
There's some pretty good defenses on that schedule, though. I think he'll be all right.
Denver,
but
San Fran, Minnesota, 2 of the best.
I think
Atlanta,
expecting him to have a similar season to last year is
that's not going to
naive.
happen.
Anybody else?
Russell Wilson.
Yes. I didn't have him on my list because I didn't want to go any further than where I was. But yeah, Russell Wilson hasn't been great this year. He's behind. He's ahead of Cam Newton on the list, but no, actually, where is he at here? Cam Newton, and then Russell. So he's behind Carson Palmer even on that. 157 total points.
Yeah, I mean all those guys: Eli, Cam Newton, Carson Palmer, Russell Wilson. All of them bad.
Yeah. bad for sure.
Alex
And all these
Smith,
guys
Alex
drafted
Smith
high.
is better than all those guys, and he's a free agent.
He's actually second
Gross.
in completions.
Yeah.
Alex Smith is second in our league in
He's had a
completions.
60-point game, and a 50-point game, and he's sitting out there on free
Is he?
agency. Yeah.
He's Alex Smith. I hate. I don't want. Keep him away from my kids.
That shit
even
is
have
gross.
kids.
Another one that stood out to me is Golden Tate. He was drafted in the 5th round. He has 20 total points, 14 receptions, 0 touchdowns. A guy that was a PPR machine the last few years. Everybody's like, oh, Calvin Johnson, he's gone. All of them are going to go to Golden Tate. And it's been the Marvin Jones show.
I'm just going to stay quiet for this argument because I was completely wrong about Golden Tate. So you guys feel free to discuss.
That has been one of the most, and I've had him in a different league, and wow, that is just incredible to me. And we talked about Brandon Cooks. He's 25th in points, 43 total points, 18 catches, 255 for 2 touchdowns, and just like 4 total points, I think, the last 2 weeks. And we kind of mentioned that already.
And he's not getting along with the coaching staff.
Who's that, Cooks?
Golden Tate.
Golden Tate. He's complaining about not getting the ball.
Well, yeah, and they benched him last week because he wasn't running the right route.
Yeah, they were saying that Stafford threw a pick because Golden Tate ran the wrong direction.
I've never been high on Golden Tate.
But what did people think? Golden Tate was going to be just another version of Calvin Johnson?
No, but I mean, no one's expecting
no one's
that.
expecting
But everybody
that.
thought he would at least, even if he matched
some
what
of
he
the
did
slack.
last year, which was 97 receptions.
But the reason
you're drafting a guy because in a PPR league, and you figured his targets are going to go up.
True, but I think too his mind says nothing. Okay, I have Calvin Johnson on the other side, so everybody's going to focus their attention on there, and all the pressure won't be on me. So this year coming in, probably expecting to be the number one guy. Well, he's got some problems because
He's not a number one guy.
Hey, Calvin Johnson was gone, so he was going to be the next man up, and obviously
He's number one on the depth chart. Is he a number one wide receiver? No. Marvin Jones fits that bill better, but for a guy that was in the system.
Yeah, because you would think
everybody thought that he would be.
He's a damn sneak thief, man.
Well, that's like with Baldwin.
He's good under no pressure, but with pressure on him.
That's like with Doug Baldwin. We think Doug Baldwin was as a number one wide receiver. Now, granted,
No, you can't compare Golden Tate to Doug Baldwin. Doug Baldwin's had some good weeks.
I think Doug Baldwin is a number one receiver. Doug Baldwin's all they have over in Seattle, and he actually does pretty well.
Oh, not Jimmy Graham?
Golden Tate has seen 7 targets in week 1, 9 in week 2, 6 in week 3, and 4, and that's when he got benched. Okay. So not a ton really either. So I don't know. Golden Tate, he's pretty much borderline droppable, right? I know we have some deep benches, but just takes in the backfield. Keep him, drop him. I don't know. We should probably keep going here. Is there anybody else? Amari Cooper, 32nd in points. Crabtree has way more points than he does. He was drafted 16th overall. Just 1 touchdown. He's not been good. He had a touchdown called back, thank God, against me on one weekend. He hasn't been off to a great start either. Todd Gurley, 24th in points, although he's kind of been coming around the last few weeks. We mentioned Thomas Rawls, and how disappointed I'm in that. Kobe Fleener hasn't been good. Delaney Walker, 19th in terms of tight ends. 11 receptions after his big PPR year. So those are some of the disappointing players. I'm going to move on here. Let's quickly go over the love-hate sleeper running backs and see where we were right and wrong, and Aaron can just sit here and chime in and say we're idiots. We'll start with Mikey. He loved Ezekiel Elliott, and currently he's eighth in total points in running backs, so that turned out really well. 412 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. I think he's only getting better and figuring things out in that offense. Sleeper, Bilal Powell. Not so much.
He never goes away.
He has had 15 receptions for 103 yards, only 99 yards rushing. But with Matt Forte he's been really bad the last 2 weeks. Bilal Powell, I think, is going to start figuring things out.
Right, and if you look at the snap counts for the last 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks, Bilal Powell was barely seeing the field. He was 10 to 15%. Last 2 weeks, 50-50.
Yeah.
So he's getting more opportunities.
Somebody always has Bilal Powell on their team in November.
I have him right now, so we'll see.
He never goes away. He should go away, but he never goes away.
And we can ask Mikey his opinion on this. His hate was Le'Veon Bell. Now it wasn't based on what kind of player he is.
That's right.
It's based on the fact of where he's going to be drafted, based on his suspension, 3 games. I don't know if it was 3 or 4 by the time we did that.
It was probably 4
at the time. It was 4, and so now it was reduced to
Even
3.
still.
How do you feel now about it?
Oh, well, he's awesome. But we knew,
Yes, 20
we knew
points in
that
his first
then.
game.
I just wasn't comfortable taking him in the first round knowing that he was going to miss 4 weeks at the time.
Right, right.
You know, and me and Aaron talked at the draft, too.
Yeah.
I struggled. I was going to pull the trigger
he was close
on him, and I took Mike Evans instead.
Me and him both had the same 2 players in mind at that position.
So as much as I hated him, I was still going to take him. So, yeah, I mean, it was all about the suspension.
So I think Mikey did pretty well. While Bilal Powell has kind of been he's still sleeping.
Give it time.
He's still sleeping.
Give
okay.
it time.
For Todd, he loved, wanted to marry, take him from the rear. Jeremy Langford, 35th in points, 27 total, 35th in points with 27 points, 116 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 5 receptions, and now injured. Do you still feel the same? Do you think he's going to come around, or are you off the Jeremy Langford love wagon?
This party's over.
My bad.
My bad.
My bad. I thought, okay, he can catch balls out of the backfield. He's gonna be the number 1 guy, and yeah, the Jordan Howard era, I guess, begins, because if Howard keeps doing what he's doing, Langford's gonna be an afterthought. So, yeah, that was.
It started off well for you. He had 13 points, 57 yards rushing, a touchdown. He actually had a touchdown next week, but that's all he did because he had 7 total points.
That is a steady graph if you look at it.
And then it went down after that.
Yep.
No peaks and valleys in that. It's just straight downhill.
Yeah.
So, not so good. Your sleeper was Matt Jones. Now, not terrible. 267 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 6 receptions for 48 yards. He's 21st in running back total. A guy I think you have on your team, right? So, I'll give you a passing grade on Matt Jones. He hasn't been otherworldly, but he is
he's like an old Volvo. He just doesn't break down. He just keeps going.
Yeah. And
Scott still have his Volvo, by the way.
He has a Volvo.
He's a big Volvo guy, for sure.
They just keep steady mediocrity.
But the most important thing is he's the number 1. He's the number 1 running back. He's the number 1 running back. I really don't have to. I mean, Chris Thompson will come in every once in a while, but the most important thing is Matt Jones is always in there. That's what you want in a number 1 running back.
Matt Jones on his
He's
season so far, 3 points, 13 points, 8 points, and then had 20 points against Cleveland. Everybody does well against Cleveland, but not bad considering the state of the running back situation. And then your hate was Jonathan Stewart. Whoa, big surprise. Went out on a limb on that one. He's 75th. Now, he has been injured the first couple games. He has 9 total points, 73 yards rushing, 2 receptions in 2 games. I don't know if there's anything else to say about it. We knew he was terrible and
garbage.
Wasn't going to do anything. So,
He
but he got it right. He got it right.
He was a 4th round pick by Allen, so he's not that terrible.
No, he's terrible. He was terrible.
That
was a terrible pick on a terrible player.
That is some hot garbage.
All right, so we'll go through
garbage in the
mine.
summertime.
I loved Mark Ingram. Probably didn't. He's not where I thought he would be. I think the team's not utilizing him correctly. But 16th in total points among running backs, 221 yards rushing. He does have a rushing touchdown. 16 catches for 125 yards and a touchdown. 16th. I thought he would be way higher than that. But there you go.
And but he is coming around. Last 2 weeks,
Yep.
he's been close to 20 points both weeks. So he's coming around. John Kuhn's just stealing his touchdowns.
If I had Mark Ingram, I'd be really upset. Again?
John Kuhn.
John Kuhn, yes.
This is what
We
he does.
mentioned him quite a bit. Sleeper, Kenneth Dixon. Now, he might play this week. He hasn't played. He's been injured, so we're still out on that one. Here's one I was absolutely, totally wrong on was LaShawn McCoy. I thought he would be terrible, and he would take a step back. There were so many running backs at the time. Now they're all gone because Reggie Bush is not very good. Who's the guy that got cut earlier in the year? I can't
Carlos
remember.
Williams,
Thank you.
and they're bringing him
And
back.
I heard they might be bringing him back.
Is Reggie Bush still in the league?
He's currently on the Bills.
All right.
So there
Who
you go.
knew?
So I figured all those guys would take some pressure off LaShawn McCoy as they made a playoff run, but he's been great. 5th in amongst running backs, 297 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, 17 catches, and has a touchdown there too. So wrong. I was wrong, Aaron. Does that make you
happens.
smile?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I just want you to be wrong in December. That's all.
That's when it matters the most. Okay, so those are our love-hate sleepers. We can talk about receivers and quarterbacks and such on later shows, but today is the running back show. And I just kind of went through the top 20 running backs, and I gave you either a good, bad, or great rating. And these are the top 20 guys. Okay, Adrian Peterson, bad. We can agree, right? Okay. David Johnson's great. Todd Gurley, I put him in the bad category, but maybe that's a little bit too harsh. Jamal Charles, bad. Devontae Freeman's been good. despite the timeshare with Tevin Coleman. Ezekiel Elliott, great. Lamar Miller, good. Now, I want to ask you about Lamar Miller because he doesn't have a touchdown yet, but he seems like he gets a lot of work, which turns into some points. Are you happy with Lamar Miller? What are your thoughts on Lamar Miller at this point in the season?
I'm pretty sure he's gotten double digits every week. He just hasn't gotten the touchdown yet. So, yeah, I mean, I can't be disappointed. He's getting 20 carries a game. He's getting all the work in the passing game. So I never have to worry about him not getting double figures. I mean, once those touchdown comes, he's going to be right up there with these other guys.
All right, so you feel good about Lamar Miller. Okay, so the 8th running back drafted, Mark Ingram, he's been good. LaShawn McCoy, great. Le'Veon Bell, good, and only didn't put great because he didn't play in the first few weeks of the season.
It's only been one game.
It's going to change. Doug Martin, injury, bad. Deion Lewis, bad. Eddie Lacy, bad. Thomas Rawls, bad. Matt Forte, been good, although the last 2 weeks have been terrible. Jeremy Hill, he's been good. He's had some bad weeks, but he's had some good weeks too. Jonathan Stewart, bad. DeMarco Murray, great. Carlos Hyde, great. We haven't talked about Carlos Hyde, and he's been off to a stellar start this season. But I just wanted to
Chip Kelly.
I wanted to throw. That's right.
Well, he's been the only highlight in this.
I just wanted to mention that just because we want to talk about kind of this,
on a better team, he'd do even better.
the state of the running back. There were so many injuries. We already talked about all the injuries, and then it's a PPR league, so some of us went pro wide receiver more than pro running back. How do we feel about running backs? What kind of stands out to you? I have a list of everybody's top 3 running backs. We can kind of go through those and see, but do we? Are we in panic mode? Aaron, you have the best situation amongst running backs, but I mean it's not deep either.
No.
What do you think about running backs in our league these days?
Well, and I'll say I still think the wide receiver over running back is still the right move. You know, Aaron's kind of the outlier in the league. His running backs have stayed healthy. They've been great. Everybody else, not so much. So, yeah, I mean, the running back thing, it's just still, like we said in previous podcasts, too risky. Look at all these injuries.
I totally agree with him, but the only difference in my situation was those running backs were available, and that's why they were obvious 3-down backs. That's the only reason I took them. If it would have been like anybody else, I probably would have went with a wide receiver.
Okay.
So I totally agree with this point of view. In fact, I mean, yeah, I would have loved to actually have gone more wide receiver heavy.
Well, now that we know the running backs aren't great, they're not deep. You have 3 running backs. If you prefer a wide receiver, do you trade for a better wide receiver?
Nope, because you can't. There's nobody else in the league can replicate the performance of those 3 running backs.
But if they're so risky, like right now, DeMarco Murray, he can continue to do what he's doing, but his value will never be higher, and you could probably trade for a top-flight wide receiver right now. And if you think this wide receiver is going to do better in the long run compared to DeMarco Murray, you might miss the game. The running backs that get beat up, we know that. But if you get a guy that's going to be more sure thing, maybe he has an easier schedule in the playoffs. I don't know. I'm just throwing out scenarios. But is that something you look at and like, man,
I think that's definitely something you look at. I would say that's a possibility. I don't think that's a definite sure thing. But it's hard to pass up. It's such a rare thing to have that many running backs that are just automatic sure things. I don't know. It's
automatic meaning what?
As far as
all it takes is one bad hit. I mean, you could say that on a receiver too, but more knee. People are going for knees, more running backs than wide receivers.
Right, but I mean, those are running backs where obviously you're gonna at least break the 10-point barrier every single week, and if not that, they're gonna probably get you 20. And there's not like a whole lot of running backs that you can say the same thing.
What would it take for you to trade one of your running backs for a receiver? Like what receiver? Are we talking
you're
top
talking,
flight?
Yeah,
like
you're
Odell
talking
Beckham,
first round. You're talking first round pick shit. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I wouldn't fuck around with that.
And you wouldn't get that.
No, you're not gonna get that. That's why I'm not stupid. Because the premium on a running back on that level is so high to get that kind of performance out of one that you're not gonna get in return what you can get from them. Per game. No one's gonna give you that back. Okay. I mean, they might, but I don't know. We'll see.
Todd, what do you have to say about running backs?
Well, obviously, I think you need to have at least some top flight running backs. in there because they're not a dime a dozen. So if you have,
You say dime a dozen.
one more time, I know.
One more time. There's a lot of different ways to say there are not a lot of running backs in the league.
You know, there's
the statement I just made.
Saying that is a dime a dozen. Analogies are a dime a dozen.
Todd is a cliche machine.
That's right. Well, it's going to be a long season.
I always felt it was a lot easier to pick up a hot running back at the end of the year and ride him the last 4 weeks than it was.
I agree with that. I mean,
it was like a receiver.
Tim Hightower got me to a championship.
I think I had D'Angelo Williams one year, and he got me that a championship.
But see, that's the difference between a great wide receiver and a great running back. Is that as a wide receiver, you have another wide receiver next to you at all costs. Mm-hmm. There's third wide receivers, and they're not going to do what the top wide receiver is going to do.
Right.
But Mark Ingram can get hurt, and Tim Hightower can just come in and do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, look at Dallas.
Now, that's not going to happen every time.
Not always.
But the odds of that happening are way more in favor of running back than it will for a wide receiver.
Right. I mean, look at Dallas, just for example. Like, Des Bryant's hurt, and Terrence Williams is still Terrence Williams.
Yeah.
Right, I agree with you on that. But, I mean, usually a lot of what happens the majority of the time, if a top-shelf running back gets hurt, then it usually goes to running back by committee BS.
Sure, but, I mean, they're more likely to replicate those stats. So in the
combined, maybe, not alone.
But in the fantasy world, you're going to that's why, I mean, I'm just having this devil's advocate of why you should have better. I think it's better to have good receivers than it is to have running backs. But those situations – where at the end of the year, were you talking about Jerick McKinnon came in and did all right for Adrian Peterson when he was out that whole year. Now, he didn't put up Adrian Peterson numbers, but, I think in terms of what, I'm trying to think of a wide receiver, like Larry Fitzgerald and then Michael Floyd, or Josh Brown. Like, I don't know. I think just in that situation.
I think there's an obvious shelf on which certain running backs sit. And then there's everybody else, and then there's the garbage at the bottom.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think if you're lucky enough to be in position to draft, like, there's maybe, 5 running backs that are on that very top shelf that you have to take them no matter what.
Well, yeah.
Even if it's over a whiteout.
That's because, really, there's only, 5 or 6 situations with running backs where it's not committee.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
It's very rare. I mean, there's very rare any, 3-down running backs anymore.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just pretty much at this point, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Lamar Miller, Todd Gurley, guys like that.
Carlos Hyde, C.J. Anderson.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, and even that, I mean, they give Devontae Booker carries, too.
Just give me some thoughts as we end this show.
Well, I think this is kind of the time where the cream is going to rise to the top. So you're going to see the best teams start to rise in the standings. And I believe that Aaron's going to continue to do well. I think Kilgore Trout's going to do really well. I'm being humble here. I think I'm going to do really well.
Yes, your team is good.
I think, Eric has a good team. Gonzo Cats has a good team. Unfortunately, I don't like the chances of Todd, Allen, or G.
Yeah. Okay, Todd, final thoughts?
I think, obviously, I'm hoping Todd Gurley just starts to, picks up the slack and continues on and does better. Isaiah Crowell, that's not going to last. I mean, it's Cleveland, for God's sake, so I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, it's great first weeks of the season, Cleveland doing well, but that's not going to last as well. So I said Todd Gurley for sure. I hope he starts to pick up and gets back to form like he was last year, which I think he's capable of doing as well. So.
Aaron, final thoughts?
I just want to address the elephant in the room. Tom Brady, how do we feel about this? I think people are treating him coming back as being an automatic.
So are you saying...
Am I the only one alone in this that doesn't think this is not an automatic? He's going to rake the league?
It's actually annoying to me. I mean, well, because people seem to think that, in his last 12 games, he's just going to throw 50 touchdowns.
Right, exactly. That's
score 7 touchdowns a game, and just because he's mad.
Right, exactly. I see. That's my point. No, Tom Brady's
I don't think
great player.
All right, fine. I agree that he's not going to throw 50 touchdowns, but if he still throws 35, it ends up being a top 10 quarterback and helps someone get to the playoffs and win a championship.
He's not throwing 35.
Then, okay.
Hammer.
Putting the hammer down. That's fine.
The hammer was thrown.
I mean, the way you guys are talking, you just sound like it's not going to be the Tom Brady of old.
No, I don't.
I don't want to say that either.
All that matters is because Ryan obviously has him right now.
Right.
Unless he just falls off and he ends up being 1-6, 1-7, then it doesn't matter if
I don't
he
think
goes,
that's going to happen either. But I think there's been a certain treatment, especially in the press, like it's just going to automatically he's going to come in this week and throw like 5 touchdowns.
It's fucking Cleveland. I think he could.
Well, okay. There's also
he's still going to be Tom Brady, but people think he's going to be Tom Brady times 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could do what he did last year. Not full season worth, but he's still like a top 3 quarterback.
We'll see.
We'll see. Do you want to put a board bet on it? We have one board bet. We can have another one.
I'm curious to see what happens.
I guess we have to figure out the parameters on how we would do this, but I don't think you guys are giving enough credit. I mean, he's still Tom Brady.
Oh no, I'm giving him credit. I just think the automatic people. I don't know. I don't know. There's a certain kind of like, oh yeah, he's going to come and he's going to throw 5 touchdowns a game now.
What was that comment you made
just
earlier?
Because he's mad.
I really fucking hate the Patriots. So maybe it's the hate that's clouding your vision right now?
It's partially hate. It's partially hate.
The dark side has got to.
It's just because he's mad.
Right. It's also that. So I don't know.
Maybe it's just the media blowing it up.
It is. I think it's a lot of the media blowing it up.
Like that's what makes me nervous about his team. Is Tom Brady versus Cleveland this week. He could get 5 touchdowns. Now I don't think he's going to get 40 completions, so that's going to help take some of that off, but it's still Tom Brady.
Who do you play this week?
I play Ryan this week.
Do you? Well, I hope he does get 5 touchdowns. 'Cause I don't like you.
Yes, we know that. We've settled that. We've lived together for how many years and you hate me? As long as you pay the rent on time. Hey, speaking of that.
I like Ryan better than you right now. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. The only thing my final thoughts were I think Odell Beckham's going to be better than his 34th ranking. Eli's going to be better.
I agree.
Brandon Marshall's going to be better. And I think Melvin Gordon's going to kind of regress because with the yards per carry, it's going to go down.
I think Eli will be better every other week.
Every other week? Yeah, I could see that.
He'll do as usually.
And I hate to do this, but I have to bring it up. But we do have to congratulate Mikey for winning the baseball fantasy championship. Quayne, who's actually also in our league, he was second. And they evened at 5-5. But Mikey had the higher seeding, so that actually gave him the win. And here's your stage, here's your mantle, here's your podium. Go ahead.
Thank you. Dynasty is what they call it.
Oh, jeez.
3 out of 4 years. 4 straight years in the championship. And I just want to spend a special thank you to former Colorado Rocky Jolise Chessing. Thank you very much.
Yes, it was incredible. I was getting texts from him and Quayne while I was going down while I was at work. So, this being a fantasy football show, and a lot of the guys that are in that league are also in this league, I had to bring it up. So that's what a good host would do, as painful as it is. Because now Mikey has the same number of championships in football, and he has the same number of championships in baseball. We're now 3 buddies in both sports. Ugh. That is obnoxious. That's just going to make me work harder next year. But
good luck.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thanks for another fun, exciting show. I'm trying to have to do a lot of editing. The show went pretty long, but it was fun and exciting. Great luck to none of you next week.
I think Todd wished me a lot of luck this week.
Oh, yeah, well, Todd's got a big mountain to climb.
Yeah, good luck, Todd. I hope you have a lot of alcohol.
Yeah, Todd's going to have to be juiced up pretty good. Good Lord. So hopefully we'll do the show in another 4 weeks. It's just whenever.
It's Eric's fault.
Whenever I get the chance to kind of be open and everybody's schedule. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next time on the MHA Podcast.